just scoring through the first layer of the membrane. Okay, welcome back. We're here with another remodel vlog, renovation vlog, bathroom vlog.
If you haven't seen our other parts from the beginning of demoing this tub surround to doing the plumbing, check out the channel.
Yes, I will link the other videos below in sequence so you can watch from the beginning. So we're breaking everything down step by step so that you can follow along on our shower to tub conversion. Today's vlog is going to be about waterproofing. So we're using the LATICRETE Hydroban board. It's super lightweight, like light as a feather. Normally, what you see a lot of people doing, DIY, and some contractors that refuse to use higher end products, they're using cement board, which is like super heavy, it's dusty, it requires a ton of steps. You'll see how awesome it is to use this. You cut it with a box knife, bam, bam, bam. It is awesome.
This is literally all you need.
Yeah. A drill and a box knife with a nice sharp blade on it and a straight edge.
And a caulking gun, but we'll get into that. But
yeah.
You'll see. You'll see how we
To hang the board, all you need is a drill and a knife. So
we're gonna get started. We're probably gonna start with the back wall first.
yeah, that doesn't matter. We'll see you soon. 54, 70. Okay, so we marked it. We made a point on the bottom and the top of the board. Used a straight edge to make a line, and now I'm just gonna use my box knife. Cut it. So basically, you do it just like drywall. You score it, you snap it, and then you just recut it from the back because the felt or the membrane that's on the front and the back is the thickest part, and the foam kind of just breaks wherever you score it. So I'm just scoring through. I'm not really digging in through the entire board. I'm just scoring through the first layer of the membrane and the foam. You just snap it. Now all you have left is the other side of the membrane there. You just come back with your knife. I'll go from the top to the bottom. And you cut through like this.
Okay, so the next thing you'll want to do after you check your piece to make sure that it fits is fillet the board so that the board can slide over the lip of the flange and you won't have to fur out the studs. So what we did was measure how deep the flange is, and we made our line here. And now I'm just scoring the back of the board in preparation to fillet it. If you were using cement board, you would not be able to do this. And what would happen is if you laid the back of the board over the flange, it would create a bump out at the bottom where your tile is going to go. Now I'm just going to take my knife and I'm going to fillet it like here, right? And we're going to start shallow. It doesn't have to be perfect. All right, you're probably going to have to go through and do it a couple times because you want to get the blade about that deep. So I need this tool, this type of blade really helps for this kind of stuff because we want it to be about this deep. So as you can see here, it's good, but my blade didn't go deep enough. So you just got to keep going until you get it, that's all. So now I'm just going to go a little bit more here.
And you can see the board is still like rigid over here where we cut away half the foam, so.
And this should come out pretty easily. You can go a little bit more if You really want to like. You really want to be anal about it. The main thing is you don't want to penetrate to the other side. So as long as you do that, you're okay. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm just making it like this to show you what it should look like. And you can see here, the thickness is going to be more than the flange that we're going to be sliding this into, so everything should sit down nice and flush. That's it.
All right, so we got our board in. We measured from left to right. We filleted out the little channel, so you can see right here, that's the flange. If we would have just put a board over it, look over here for a second. If we would have just put a board over it, you can see how it won't sit flush. Like we're gonna have like a skirt at the bottom essentially. So we cut out that channel like you saw Chris do, and now it can just fit in nice and it's flat and flush. And we're gonna do that all the way around. What we'll do before we secure the board in is probably put some sealant along the flange, put the board on, and then it will be nice and secure. And then we're gonna run another bead along the bottom here. So the other method is you can like fur out the stud to the flange here, and then you put your board, and then you do like banding across the bottom. This I think is much neater. You end up with a much more like solid surface to tile to.
Banding. You can just use the sealant.
And you just tile right over to the acrylic flange. I don't like that. This, I feel like this is much more uniform. I know it's not an official approved method by this manufacturer, but
we're gonna do it anyway.
It's a cheat code. So.
And also don't forget, you gotta notch out space in the board for your flange. So basically, after we filleted it and we measured it, we brought it in here, we sat it on top and we marked it. And then this next board that's going here,
it's going to sit on the stud, and then
it'll cover that.
Perfect. And then like we're gonna put sealant here, bam, good to go. And you'll see all of those steps. And then you basically have a full waterproof system. It's awesome. Okay, so the next step is to apply some of the Hydroban sealant to the flange. We want to do that so that that little fillet that we made gets adhered really nice to the flange. And I'm going to apply it to the flange as opposed to the board because I think it's going to be easier. So it's important to note that the Hydroban sealant is 100% waterproof. So it, in addition to making a waterproof seal along the flange, it also will act as a glue, if you will, to hold it in place. So now I'm going to put the board in and I'm going to squish this against the sealant to make sure it catches. Now, if you want to get a warranty with your system, you have to use the full LATICRETE everything from start to finish. So we are using the LATICRETE Hydroban screws. They are coated so that they don't rust. And unlike Schluter, you do not need to use the washers unless you're going on a ceiling. So if I was going to be tiling the ceiling or putting Hydroban board on the ceiling for some reason, then I would need to use washers, and LATICRETE sells those, but just for the walls, we just need screws. So the screws are supposed to be 12 inches apart vertically on your studs. So your studs are supposed to be 16 inches on center, and you want to do your screw spacing at 12 inches. So. And I like to leave like a little dimple, just like your hanging drywall. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna go around and I'm just gonna put the screws, I'm gonna like just throw them in like this. And then I'll go in and I'll just screw them all in at once. So that's what I'm gonna do now. The next step is to run a bead of the sealant on the inside seam. You can run it up the board. I like to just put it on the board itself. It's easier for me. So I already ran my bead across the flange so that it will go inside my little channel here. And then I'm gonna squish it in and you'll see it ooze out. You wanna, don't be cheap here. You wanna make sure that it's oozing out so you're getting like full contact over there in the corner. Woo! Made it. I made it through. Just to quickly explain what I'm doing, I am pitching the prep. The prep is the foam board, and I'm pitching it so that it has a slight pitch towards the inside of the shower. You want to make sure that you're constantly pitching any sill, any ledge, any niche, any bench towards the inside of your shower, because these are points where water can build up. Tile and grout is not waterproof, and the last thing you want is for water to get down from through your tile into your prep and sit in there and just fester as you shower. It's like biology lesson now. Like you shower, you're using shampoo, whatever, it gets into the joints and then it can cause yucky stuff behind. So the best way, pitch the prep so that the water gets through from the tile and the grout. It's still falling down and finding its way out. That's the theory. So I'm using horseshoe spacers and hot glue gun to secure them in place. This way when I put the foam board in on the sill, it's already pitched. And I will pitch the tile as well, but this just also pitches the prep like I just explained. So I will show you. This is very dramatic. This is like, you can probably accept it like here, as long as the bubble is hanging towards the back. When I go to install the tile, I won't want the pitch to be this dramatic, because I want, if I put something on here, I don't want it to be like tilting forward or fall off. But this is okay, because even if I kind of mess up a little bit on the tile, my prep is pitched for sure. So, all right, so we put sealant here where this board will lay on top. So the key element here is to put sealant on every seam, right? You want to attach it using the sealant, and then also you're going to go over the top with the sealant like this so that you don't see any seams at all. And then for this, because it's a windowsill and anything like shelves, niches, windowsills, these are very, very sensitive areas for failures for waterproofing. So we went ahead and we put sealant across the back and the sides for this as well, so that, you know, it just mitigates that risk a little bit more. So we're gonna squish that in, squish this in, crap, and this. Okay, so, and then you're gonna see, squeezing out. I wanna make sure I squeeze it down nice. Good. All right, so now that our boards, the top pieces have been cut in, everything fits nicely. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to actually make it 100% waterproof, because the board itself is waterproof, but now we have seams and we're going to create penetrations with the screws, and then we have inside corners that we have to take care of. So I'll show you the steps on how to waterproof all of that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take care of the seams, and we're going to use a Hydroban sealant. We're going to run a bead in the seam here, and then we're going to run a bead on the seam as well on the board for this inside corner. So as you can see here, we ran a bead, and then we also made sure that there's no gaps. What you want to do is run enough sealant so that when you squish the boards together, it's oozing out and you're getting full contact there. So I'll demonstrate that now. Okay. Now I'm going to run sealant. For an inside corner like this, you can either run sealant across this board where it's going to hit, but I feel like it's harder to stay in a straight line here versus just running it on the board itself. That's personal preference. As long as you get sealant in the seam. So now we have our sealant on the inside seam. We have our sealant on the horizontal seam. I'm going to try to make this not messy, but I can't guarantee anything. Look at this stuff. There we go. It's gonna be messy anyway. So what I want to do is try to make sure I'm squeezing that out. Squeezing it. So you can see my sealant is oozing out. So now we have our sealant in the seam. I'm going to go ahead and place the screws. I like to just put the screw on my gun, and then I know where I'm going to put the screw, and I just push through till I feel the stud. This way I know the stud's back there. And then I drill in nice and slow. And you want to make sure you leave a little dimple, but you don't want to go too hard that you damage the board. Okay, so I'm going to continue the process all the way up, just finish out all of this, and then I will go back, add my sealant in the corner. Over here, it's required 1 inch to the left and the right of the seam, and then cover up my screw holes and move on to the other wall. Okay, all the screws are in place. The next step is to make sure that your inside corners are nice and sealed. I see that I have a few little gaps, so I'm going to run another bead of sealant along this inside seam really good and make sure that I'm filling that up nice. So starting at the top. So now I have no more gaps. Next thing is to get some sealant on. You can use a plastic putty knife that you can get for like, I don't know, a couple cents at Home Depot or at a hardware store. Or sometimes I'll just cut a piece of scrap foam and use that. This way I could just throw it in the garbage. Instead of having to clean a tool, I will likely throw this away as well. I just had it, so. Now, really important to note is that any seam like this, LATICRETE requires 1 inch to either side of coverage. So like this isn't acceptable. If I just like smash this down, that is not okay. You need to make sure that in addition to the sealant in the seam, that there is 1 inch covered from top to bottom around the seam. So I'm just going to run this across here first. Just gonna get some more sealant, fill these babies, and just run some more sealant here to spread out. So now I'm going to work from the top down, filling my screw holes. This is why we make it a little dimple, kind of like the same as drywall, so that we fill it in just like you're filling in a nail after you've taken a picture off the wall or something with drywall, putty, whatever the heck. So now this makes the full waterproof system. Well, except for one last thing. we have to run a bead across the bottom. But that will be the last thing we do. We want to make sure we clean up the area, we exit, we're not over here messing it up or putting our fingers in it. So cut it, you seal it, well, cut it, you screw it, you seal it, you tile it, and you're good to go. All right, so if you come over here, you can see that around a window or around a niche or soapbox is an extremely important area, because this is spots, as I mentioned earlier with pitching your prep, this is where water can collect and it can get really ugly really fast. So you want to make sure that everything is waterproof 100%. So we already have our waterproof board. We sealed up all of our penetrations with the screw holes. And then the next areas you want to pay very close attention to are like the inside seams. And then of course this seam that's running along the back area right here is the window. So we definitely don't want water to get back there and start damage. You remember earlier from our previous vlogs, you saw there was very bad water damage and we had to replace all this framing. We don't want that to happen again. So we want to make sure that we put our sealant on the edge of the board attached to the window, and then we also are running a bead across the top to make sure that there is no way water can get back there. And then the other area is this outside seam here where the two boards meet. You want to make sure that you're running a nice bead or a nice thick layer, same thing, like 1 inch at least across the whole thing, so that water can't get back here, because there's studs back here and there's framing. So you can see we already started to waterproof this side. This side is completely naked. So you see the foam here, and then you see our seam. I'm gonna go across and I'm going to run a nice inch thick bead of the sealant here, spread it out nice, just like I do across these seams, just for extra protection. So I just added a glob to my spatula, and I'm just going to put it down. Just making sure that I seal it up really well, because I don't want water, moisture, vapor, anything to get in here. I take really hot showers, so there'll be a lot of vapor running around in this area. So like I mentioned, we want to add a bead in here, just like we would treat the other inside seams, exactly the same way. This is extremely important. Just do not forget this step. So I'll probably do that, then run my finger across here to make sure I'm really pressing it in well and there is no gaps that I can see. All right, so the next step, like I mentioned before, we have to run a bead across the bottom of the tub where the board meets the actual tub. And then that will 100% seal us off and make us waterproof. And basically, you can technically shower in here without the tile. And you're good to go, because tile and grout is waterproof. So let me do that. So I'll just run my bead and then across the entire perimeter. Then I'll go and I will flatten it out with my finger and make sure that I got the entire thing.
So there you have it, folks. Waterproofing 101 in the tub surround.
Don't let anybody tell you that you don't need to waterproof a tub surround, because they're lying. So we've made it very far in this vlog. If you've been following along,
thank you.
Yes, this has been a journey. So a journey from a shower to a tub. If you're just getting here, quick recap, this is our secondary bathroom in the house. So our house was flip-flopped. We had a tub in the primary bathroom and then a shower in the secondary. And we just thought it was better suited for resale purposes, etc., etc., if we kind of pimped out the primary bathroom with a nice walk-in shower, and then put a nice tub in here. This is an upgraded tub, so this is like a larger soaking tub, so it's a little bit more luxurious than a standard tub. As you can see, like if I sit in here, I totally, I just put my finger in the stuff. Dang it. I get like,
She disappears.
yeah, I disappear. It's great. Let me fix this. If you are wondering how the waterproofing process goes, you should follow our vlog from start to now. The next step is to tile it. We have to wait for the sealant to dry. Technically, the sealant that we use is water curable, so
You could pretty much tile almost immediately,
yeah,
within an hour.
if you're wondering about time, but it definitely like cuts the time for preparing to tile like in half versus some of the other methods that are available out there. So I love it. It's been the best so far that we've been using, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like really a foolproof way to get a very nice waterproof system, you know, especially if you don't have like a lot of knowledge, or you don't know how to like do the mud and all the other systems and ways that you can do it. It just,
If you're using LATICRETE products, certain products, they'll give you a lifetime warranty, much like the other manufacturers. So it has all the same advantages as the other systems. Honestly, it just, you know, it comes down to personal preference, and we prefer
this.
the Hydroban one.
Yeah.
That's really it. So, you know, convenience, accessibility, and ease of use. That's the main big reasons why we like using it.
Yeah, yeah. So that's it. The next step we will be filming probably is either tiling or maybe drywall. All depends. We're kind of doing this shower focus, so this really isn't the order of operations if you remodel an entire room. Like technically the drywall would have been done already, but
Hey, we're just doing what we want.
yeah, yeah, exactly. In between other stuff. So anyway,
Thanks for watching.
yeah.
Thanks for tagging along. Like, subscribe, comment, please. We appreciate the engagement, and we appreciate all your support every single time.
Actually, the next video is probably not going to be as timely. It's probably going to be me talking you through how I'm going to pick out the tile for this space. Because I can go to a store and I'm like, yes, I love this tile, but it might not be right for this space. And I really want to talk about that because I think that really matters. It matters big time. It really, like your layout and where the tiles are going to fall, that all really contributes to what your finished product is going to look like. And if you're remodeling a shower, it's not cheap to do on your own, or if you're hiring somebody. So these key factors through the whole process is very important. So I'm literally spilling the tea on it all. And I'll probably walk you through my thought process on how I'm going to pick the tile for this space.
A lot of people don't really take that into consideration. They just go, they find a tile they like, and they install it, but you know, maybe it's not the best size for the space that you have, and you wind up with really nasty sliver cuts and L cuts.
Or just a weird layout altogether, you know, and then it's like it doesn't come out looking the way you expected it.
So those are all helpful things that we will be covering in the next video. So stay tuned, and like I said, subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when we post next. We usually try to post every Friday. Sometimes it's Saturday, sometimes it's Sunday. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one.
We'll see you next time, guys.
Tile Chick, Sidekick, out.
Bye.